Once a Phoenix, now a Raven. ELN Local News was there for Aaron Mallette's big day.
1 year after his death, an ELN student is still making an impact.
Fighting domestic abuse, a community gathers to show their support.
You're watching ELN Local News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jason Puckett.
And I'm Jasmine Turner. An ELN athlete is making headlines tonight.
So let's turn it over to our sports anchor, Justin Beagle, with the latest on football star Aaron Mallette's path to the Baltimore Ravens. Justin?
Thanks, guys. Probably the biggest news on campus this weekend was the fate of senior football star Aaron Mallette. ELN Local News was the only news outlet with Mallette on Saturday during the final rounds of the NFL Draft. Take a look.
Cars lined the streets of this Sanford, North Carolina neighborhood as 30 of Aaron Mallette's closest friends, family, and teammates came to show their support on what might have been the biggest day of his life.
I'm treating it like game day, just chilling, and then once my name gets called, that's when it's time for the game to start.
That's what the senior wide receiver had to say going into the final day of the NFL Draft. Predicted to fall between the 4th and 6th round, there's plenty of food and fun to pass the time while Mallette kept an eye out for that special call. The first call came around 3:45 p.m. in the early stages of the 6th round, but Mallette was not selected. Mallette's phone remained silent going into the 7th round, but his father remained optimistic.
God gonna come through, and like I always told Aaron, I said, Aaron, it's not about you, man. You gotta look at the picture beyond you, cause stuff like this don't happen to any small town kid.
Around 5:45 p.m., after waiting by the phone for hours, Mallette's phone started to ring and kept ringing. About an hour later, Mallette got what he was looking for. Mallette was selected by the Baltimore Ravens with the 238th pick. A celebration ensued. When things settled down, Mallette took a moment to reflect on this opportunity.
It's great to say I belong to the 2013 NFL draft class, and then to be a Raven. I mean, going to the defending champion, man, that just speaks volumes. I thank Coach Harbaugh, Coach Newsom, and the organization for looking at me, evaluating me, and thinking I'm a guy that can fit their mold.
It was a day that Mallette will never forget. I'll be back later in the show with more Aaron Mallette coverage, but for now, Jason, Jasmine, back to you.
ELN Local News brought it to you first, and now Spectrum, the LGBTQ group, is talking about the decision to keep Chick-fil-A on campus. We spoke to Lauren Clapp, a member of the group Spectrum, who says the Board of Trustees missed the point the group was trying to make. Spectrum originally introduced legislation to the SGA this past September in hopes to remove the fast food restaurant from campus. Clapp helped write the bill and says that Spectrum's main problem has always been Chick-fil-A's donation to hate groups, a point she didn't think was clearly addressed in the trustees' email.
This issue, and particularly the Board of Trustees announcement, brings up an issue about transparency and communication at ELN, that clearly we are not having this dialogue in a way that both sides are hearing each other, or any sides are hearing each other. Just based on the statement that was given by the Board of Trustees, I don't think that they ever truly listened to what Spectrum students were saying.
We landed an exclusive interview with President Leo Lambert about the decision. The interview came after President Lambert and members of the Vendor Policy Committee met with students in the Newman Lumen Pavilion on Thursday to discuss the issue. Lambert stressed that just because a decision has been made on Chick-fil-A does not mean the discussion is over.
I think a lot of constructive good is going to come from more dialogue. This wasn't about, here's the decision, you won, you lost. I mean, there's a lot of work to do as a community to figure out how to move forward.
President Obama hopes to add a North Carolina mayor to his cabinet. Charlotte Mayor Anthony Foxx was appointed as Secretary of Transportation following the resignation of Secretary Ray LaHood. President Obama praised Foxx's record of infrastructure and transportation improvement in Charlotte, bringing new jobs and businesses into the city. He now waits for confirmation from the Senate before assuming the post. Foxx spoke to the ELN Law School in November at the Bryan Leadership Lecture.
And in our own student government, there's a game of musical chairs going on, but 7 programs won't have a seat. Members of the Student Government Association voted on bylaws of the Constitution. The SGA voted to eliminate several seats after this school year ends. Those seats represent all of the student programs on campus. There will now only be 5 seats on SGA for campus programs like leadership, residence life, campus recreation, and orientation. Other changes to SGA include creating a seat on the Senate for council liaison, the key representative of the entire organizational council. Student Union Board will no longer have a seat on the SGA. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of Jordan West's death. West was a member of the class of 2014 when he died from breathing problems. 1 year later, I spoke to his friends to find out what life has been like without him.
I'm running through my mind like, no, because I just saw him 2 days ago driving past him and just wave what's up. So you're not talking about the same Jordan I know.
It's almost been a year since that day.
And there's just times where I swear it's almost like you see him across the quad outside of Mosley, and you just want to say, yo, what's up, Jordan? I haven't seen you. And then, oh man, like that's not Jordan.
It was 3 in the morning when Jordan West's roommates noticed something was wrong. They took him to the hospital where he later died, but at first the cause was unknown.
The times when we were at the gym and he would say he couldn't ball as hard, he never really disclosed what it was, he said, but he did have a heart condition. That's what he always told me, that it was a heart thing. He didn't tell me it was exactly sickle cell anemia.
Sickle cell anemia is a rare disease that the Centers for Disease Control say only affect about 90 to 100,000 Americans. Jordan lived with the disease his entire life, but only told a few people.
Some people are like that, and I can't help but respect that because he doesn't want everybody worrying.
But Jordan never let his disease get in the way of his life. Friends say he was one of the happiest and most fun-loving people they knew.
Anytime you see Jordan, he always smiling. He always had you laughing, so it wasn't like he had his heart condition and felt bad about himself. He was always upbeat.
And his friends say that while they miss Jordan, his memory will live on.
Jordan kept high spirits, and I think that's what we all can learn from this, that even if you have something that no one really knows about, something lingering, keep your spirits up, remain positive, and that's what I think Jordan was always positive.
West was honored Saturday with a moment of silence at the Black Excellence Awards. He had received one of those awards shortly before his death last year.
Now we look at the ongoing lawsuit that came after the death of an ELN student who would have celebrated her 21st birthday this week. Our Katie Mergy is here to tell us more.
You may remember her as a first-year student in 2010 before Michelle Fledger died that September. She collapsed outside of the McMichael Science Building after a blood clot traveled to her lungs. She was prescribed the birth control pill Yaz to treat her acne, and Fledger's mother, Joan Cummins, filed a wrongful death suit against Bayer, the pharmaceutical company that distributes that medicine. More than 50 Yaz or Yasmin-related deaths were reported to the Food and Drug Administration between 2004 and 2008. The FDA says the synthetic hormone drospirenone that can be found in birth control pills can be cited as a link to blood clots. At the time of Fledger's death, her mother's lawyers gave this statement. Bayer failed to warn doctors and patients that Yaz poses a greater risk of serious side effects than previous generations of oral contraceptives. When I spoke to Cummins' lawyer, Wendy Fleischman, she told me the firm remained cautiously optimistic, but that the case was at a standstill because they haven't yet reached a mutually agreed settlement with Bayer. Though Bayer did not respond when asked to comment, at the time of Fledger's death, the company said this: all birth control pills, including Bayer's, carry an increased risk of blood clots, stroke, and heart attacks. These side effects are rare. Jason?
Thanks, Katie. This week, Governor Pat McCrory signed House Bill 75, also known as Keela's Law. The law created harsher punishments for those convicted of child abuse. Our Brian Mazurski looked at an organization that has already been helping prevent abuse in Alamance County.
It is so desperately needed.
Jill Wiggins is one of many guests who supported Family Abuse Services of Alamance County Saturday night at the Purple Ribbon Gala.
The Purple Ribbon Gala raises funds not just for the Family Abuse Services organization, but it seeks to provide direct help for those victims of domestic violence.
It's one of those things that people in the community don't like to talk about, but it's our neighbors that are going through these situations. It's, their children go to school with our children.
A support system like Family Abuse Services that helps those people is something Wiggins wishes was available 38 years ago.
My mother, when I was 19, She was being abused physically, and we didn't know it by my stepfather, and I was in school.
Wiggins says after some time, her mother decided to end the relationship with her stepfather.
Instead of letting her go, he decided he would rather not have her be with anybody if he wasn't going to be with her. So he took a gun and killed her. And my little brother was right there. He had to witness it. So she truly had nowhere to turn.
Wiggins says her mother may still be alive today if there was a place like Family Abuse Services to help her.
I'd give $1 million to have her back one day, so for these services, maybe these people will have their loved ones around.
And that's Family Abuse Services' goal, to support individuals and to help strengthen healthy families. Brian Mazurski, Elon Local News.
If you need any help from Family Abuse Services or are a victim of domestic violence, don't wait to reach out. The service's 24-hour crisis hotline is 336-226-5985.
Gun violence has been making headlines across the country, and now a forum on the issue of gun control is coming to Elon. This Wednesday, Elon is hosting a panel discussion on gun violence in McKinnon Hall starting at 6:30. Panelists come from all different backgrounds on the issue, including Town of Elon Police Chief Cliff Parker and North Carolina House Representative Stephen Ross. President Emeritus Dr. Earl Daniely told us why the conversation is so important to have.
It's very important that we come, that we listen, that we think about it, and that all together people of goodwill find an answer to this problem, which has caused so much heartbreak and difficulty in our country.
Elon Local News will be there to cover the discussion. Tune in to Channel 5 on Wednesday as we provide live coverage of the event starting at 6:15. If you aren't near TV, you can turn in to our broadcast on WSOE 89.3 FM or watch our live stream online.
Coming up on Elon Local News, an art major found a cool way to make money.
And stick with us to find out the inspiration of Aaron Mallette's success.
Many of us shop online, so listen up because a new tax may be added next year for online purchases. The Marketplace Fairness Act was introduced to Congress last week. The internet tax would allow the state to collect state and federal taxes from online sales. Now, before this act, taxes were only collected if the retailer had a physical store. So to give you some perspective on that, big companies including eBay and Amazon would be affected by this new law.
And here to give you tips on how to save money online is our college consumer, Katie Moulton.
Thanks, guys. We talked about shopping online before, but let's recap on the 3 most important things to keep in mind when shopping online. First, shipping is what will dig deep into your pockets. Keep your eyes peeled for free shipping. Sometimes the shipping is more than the item itself. So, as annoying as it may be, sign up for those stores' email alerts. That's how you'll know when you can get your clothes to your house for free. And next, there's a day for everything. On Tuesdays, you're going to want to shop for airfare. But on Thursdays, that's when the clothing stores have the best discounts. So, timing is everything. And finally, do you actually need the item? It's so easy to click and order. So be careful of that impulse buy. More often than that, you don't actually need the item and it will cost you money to return it. Looking out for the college consumer, I'm Katie Moulton.
Thanks, Katie. And with most college students tight on cash, our Elon students have found a way to make money, and one has found that way through her hobby. Our Alex Rose found out more.
Some associate fraternity banquets with one thing, painting a cooler. Senior Julia Kaplan has made this tradition into a business.
I kept getting phone calls from people who were also going to banquets saying, Julia, can you come help me with this? Or how do I do this? Or, like how do I mix the color to get this? And so I started kind of volunteering it. And then as time went on, I realized that I could get a little something from it.
That's when Kaplan started painting banquet coolers for money.
Hey, I'll do your whole thing if you want to pay me for it.
Kaplan says she has painted close to 30 coolers in her Elon career. And at first, she didn't know how much to charge.
$25 for the small ones. My roommate was like, no, you need to charge much more than that.
Her average going price is now $35 to $75, depending on the size. And people are willing to pay.
all of a sudden, everybody's like, okay, cool, I'll just drop it off. And so then I have 8 in my living room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I possibly going to get all of these done? So there always hits a point where I'm like, I'm sorry, I just cannot do another one.
And the results speak for themselves.
Did it. I am not artistic. I knew she was an art major, and she immediately jumped at the offer, and I took her up on it. And she did an amazing job.
Sometimes Kaplan is overwhelmed with the amount of coolers she has to paint, but she says she always enjoys the work. Alex Rose, ELN, Local News.
Kaplan might be looking to make money here on campus, but another senior is working to turn her talent into a career after ELN. Sky Cowens has the story.
For senior Alicia Varco, graduating means New York City, but she's not heading to the Big Apple for your average marketing job. She's going to market herself as a jazz singer. And they love, so won't you? There's more to her preparations than meets the ear. She says she spent countless hours researching how to make the transition from a student to a professional.
For every hour that I actually spend singing or writing, I'm spending at least 4 hours just trying to prepare my business.
Varco recorded a full-length album, Since I Fell For You. She was inspired by legendary jazz vocalists Billie Holiday and Norah Jones.
Just their emotional interpretation of songs and the way that when they perform it's a little different every time is something that I really latch on to.
Varco says the response to her album is exactly what she wanted.
Some of the greatest feedback that I've gotten from people who listen is that it really, a certain song will really remind them of something or really speak to them in some way emotionally.
Even with all of the time, money, and hard work that went into making the album, Varco says it was all worth it to continue doing what she loves.
Because there is so much prep work, sometimes people get lost in that, and I definitely have it sometimes, but I never want to lose track of the reason why I'm doing this, which is because I love to sing.
Sky Cowens, ELN Local News.
You can find Varco's album on iTunes, but she isn't the only ELN artist you can find online. The girls of Sweet Signatures performed at their spring concert Saturday afternoon. The audience cheered along as ELN's only female a cappella group performed its hits from Maroon 5, Miranda Lambert, and Carrie Underwood. The boys of Ripcord also made a special appearance, opening the show and the second act. This was Sweet Signature's final concert of the year.
And later in the show, we'll relay to you why students were walking all night long.
Earlier you saw Aaron Mallette get drafted to the Ravens, but what you may not know is how he got there. We'll show you after the break.
Well, there was certainly no shortage of mud on Saturday, and students were covered in it for Festivus. The bottom of Sheridan was transformed into a giant mud pit, and hundreds of students were painted brown from head to toe. We spoke to Elon Town Police earlier today, who said there were 0 arrests at Festivus this year.
But Festivus wasn't the only way to get your hands a little dirty this weekend. Tough Phoenix, Elon's own version of Tough Mudder, was on campus Friday. While there was no mud, there were 10 fitness tests like hill climbs and tire jumps. All proceeds from Tough Phoenix benefited the Boys and Girls Club.
Think you have what it takes to be active for 12 hours? Well, Elon students did just that Friday night, and it was all for charity. Our Jessica Woody has more.
Be positive, both my blood type and my outlook on life.
Organizer Maritza Gamboa started Elon's first Relay for Life by reading a college essay her friend from home wrote before dying of cancer. Teams walked around Francis Field for 12 hours raising money for cancer research. Happy thoughts of loved ones are what kept some participants going through the night. First-year student Sarah Charbonnier used the memories of her mother, who died of lung cancer, as inspiration.
Every night she would read a different story, and I still have the page marked off from where we stopped.
But not all participants had a personal connection to the disease.
I relay because I'm one of the few people that's lucky enough not to have lost a loved one to cancer, and I want to keep it that way.
Although the night revolved around a serious topic, event organizer Danielle Pronge stressed the importance of making Relay a lighthearted event.
We want to
be positive and stay positive and create an atmosphere where it's not scary to hear the words "you have cancer," but it's "I have cancer, this is what the answer is."
Relay participants took steps towards finding this answer. 32 teams and 444 participants raised more than $27,000 for the American Cancer Society. Jessica Woody, Elon Local News.
While Relay for Life might have been a new Elon event, a 37-year tradition, the Special Olympics was back on Friday. Elon hosted the Special Olympics for Alamance County. Athletes with disabilities from all around the county headed to Belk Track. Events range from the 100-yard dash to softball throwing.
Coming up after the break, we'll continue coverage of Aaron Mallette's journey to Baltimore. Welcome back to Elon Local News. It takes more than good technique to make it to the NFL, and now that Aaron Mallette has sealed the deal, we take a look at his support system that helped him get to the 410.
Aaron Mallette embraces his father, the man who raised him to be humble.
Family support is crucial when it comes to a young man's life.
That family surrounded and celebrated with Mallette on his big day, when he became a Baltimore Raven on Saturday.
Didn't really care for black or purple, but I love it now.
Tears of joy flowed in Mallette's aunt's house as years of hard work paid off.
God has ordained this day for us and for Aaron, and we just thank him for it.
So come tomorrow at church, man. It's going to be raving on. It's going to be on.
Mallette and his family thanked God the next day at Christian Provision Ministries, a church led by Mallette's uncle, Bishop Charlie Mallette.
We are elated because the Baltimore Ravens have proved throughout the playoffs and even throughout, the Super Bowl that they know how to be a family.
Could have easily quit playing football. Then up to the draft point, they said the draft day is really one of the most stressful times. I didn't really believe it. I was just telling everybody I was calm, and here I am sitting here, got to the 7th round. I'm thinking, man, I really might not get drafted. And I was in my head, I was like, all that hard work, all those accomplishments, really to me, it was going to mean nothing to me if I didn't get drafted.
Merrill Nation is officially heading to Baltimore. Joe Bruno, Elon Local News.
But it wasn't just Mallette's friends and family cheering him on. Elon's athletic director Dave Blank and head football coach Jason Swepson were rooting for Mallette to make the next big move in his career.
As a student athlete, but also just as a young man, and seeing when he got here to when he left, Aaron's a special person, and he'll be an Elon Phoenix forever, and we're glad about that, but we're ecstatic that he's a Baltimore Raven, and we wish him well. We know he'll do well in the league, and hopefully he'll stay in there for a long time.
Well, I was relieved and excited. I believe everyone had that same feeling, that they were just happy for the young man, happy for Elon University. It couldn't happen to a better kid. Aaron works hard, did everything the right way, and now he has a future in front of him.
Now, as Aaron Mallette celebrated his selection by the Baltimore Ravens, his former teammates were hard at work at Rhodes Stadium for their first scrimmage of the spring season. The team began spring training about 2 weeks ago and put all that hard work to the test in front of coaches and fans Saturday afternoon. There wasn't too much contact going on as the team broke off into offensive and defensive groups and ran drills specific to their positions. Overall, the scrimmage was a huge success. Now, if you missed the Phoenix this weekend, you can get a glimpse of them again this Friday for the second spring scrimmage. And that's all we have for sports this week. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Justin. That's all for this Elon Local News. But remember, we'll be back Wednesday right here in Studio A as we go live at 6:15 for Elon's Gun Forum. And don't forget, you can listen to our broadcast on WSOE 89.3 FM.
For news throughout this week, check out our Twitter at Elon Local News, and make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Elon Local News.
And make sure you check out our redesigned ElonLocalNews.com. Thanks for watching us and have a great week, Elon.